Hey guys, it's Miss Miller here to show you how to solve quadratics by factoring. So our previous video, we talked about rewriting this expression right here into standard form. So we're going to do that first. So what we want to do is move everything to the left-hand side. So I'm going to move my 7x. Again, if you'd like, you can draw a dashed line for yourself. And you could do this in one step or two, but we're going to go just taking our time. So we have x squared, and this will be negative 6x equals positive 16. And now what I'm going to do is move over the 16. So I'll subtract 16. So now I have my equation in standard form. X squared minus 6x, none of these are like terms, minus 16. And we want to make sure we write equals 0. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is identify my A, which is 1, my B, which is negative 6, and my C is negative 16. And we've done a lot of practice with factoring. So what, again, we can do is draw our little x, and we're going to put our A times C at the top, B on the bottom, and then we're going to draw our little fraction. AX goes here, and AX goes here. So now A times C gives me negative 16, and I have negative 6. Factors of negative 16, we can make a list. So factors of negative 16, my A times C would be negative 1 and 16, 1 and negative 16. I could have 2 and negative 8, negative 2 and 8. 3 does not go into 16, but 4 does, and negative 4. And I have my list. The one that adds up to my B value is going to be positive 2 and 8. So I'm going to write that right here, 2, negative 8. And remember, on the bottom of this fraction, we write AX. So I have X squared, X. It's not X squared. I have X and X. We want to write 1X. And we read from bottom to top. So what I'm doing is rewriting this expression right here to now be X plus 2, X minus 8, and that equals 0. So all we've done is factored at this point. Once you factor, you set each of these parentheses equal to 0, because we know anything times something equaling 0, one of those somethings has to be 0, right? We either know, so the rule is the zero product property, A times B equaling 0, and we know that either A has to equal 0 or B has to equal 0. So in this case, X plus 2 is acting as the A, and X minus 8 is acting as the B. And we solve. So I'll subtract 2. So X equals negative 2. Add 8. So X equals 8. So we get 2 solutions. That's how you solve. I'm going to jump to the next problem. Again, similarly, we want to make sure that this is equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 6 first. Then I'll get x squared plus 4x, and I'll have negative 5 equals 0. And then identify A is 1, B is 4, and my C is negative 5. And we can go ahead and draw my x. A times C goes up here, so 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. B goes on the bottom, and I have AX, so 1x, 1x. And factors of negative 5. What's easy about this problem is it's a prime number, which I have negative 1 and 5. So which ones add up to positive 4 is the second, negative 1 and 5. Again, your sign is really important. We can't simplify, so we're going to read from bottom to top. So I'm going to rewrite this as x minus 1. You could write 1x, that's fine, plus 5 equals 0. And then we're going to go ahead and solve. And again, to solve, you're going to take each of these parentheses. So x minus 1 equals 0 and x plus 5 equals 0. So what we're going to do is solve. I add 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1. Subtract 5. And I get x equals negative 5. Again, choose solution. Some of the other examples you're going to see is when a isn't 1. So let's take a look, making sure again it's in standard form. It always needs to start off with equaling 0. If it doesn't, you want to move it. So I'm going to subtract 7x. By doing that, I'm left with 3x squared minus 7x plus 12. There's no like terms at this point. Equals 10. And then I subtract 10. And what I get is 3x squared minus 7x. But then 12 minus 10 is positive 2. And so I'm going to identify my a. This time it's positive 3. The b value is negative 7. And my c is 2. Again, when we do our x method, we're going to do a times c at the top. So 3 times 2 gives me 6. I put negative 7, my b value on the bottom. And then I write ax, so 3x and 3x. Now I need to find factors of positive 6. Could be 1 and 6, negative 1 and negative 6. I could have 2 and 3, negative 2, negative 3. This factor pair right here adds up to negative 7, which is what we wanted. So I'll write negative 1 and negative 6. This fraction cannot be reduced, so I just write 3x minus 1. This can be reduced by 3, so I get negative 2 over 1x. So my factor is x minus 2. And that equals 0. I set each equal to 0. And here, if I add 1 to both sides, I get 3x equals 1. You want to solve them each one at a time. And notice I get a fraction. That's okay. You're going to just type it in exactly how you see. I would not put the decimal in. Add 2. So x also equals 2. So x equals 1/3 and x equals 2. All right, last example for us is here. Again, it's not equal to 0, so I want to make sure I make it equal to 0 for standard form. So I get 4x squared minus 13x. 7 minus 4 is 3, and that equals 0. So we got to standard form. Now let's identify my a is 4, my b is negative 13, and my c is 3. Now what we can do is we'll draw our x. 4 times 3 is positive 12. My b value is negative 13. I'm going to set up my little fraction here. ax. So again, the only thing different with this is that we're solving now. We're not just factoring. So now let's find factors of 12, because that's my 18c. I have 1 and 12, negative 1, negative 12. I can have 2 and 6, negative 2, negative 6. And I can have 3 and 4. Oh, negative 3 and negative 4. But the one that works, that's going to add up to negative 13 is this pair right here. When you add those together, you will get negative 13. And if you want to go ahead and reduce first, so negative 12 over 4 reduces to, we can reduce it by 4, so we get negative 3 over 1x. So if I write my factors, I have x minus 3, and then I'll have 4x minus 1, and it equals 0. This is the factored form of this. We set each factor pair equal to 0 and solve. So I'll add 3 here. So I get x equals 3. And then I add 1. So I get 4x equals 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. Divide by 4. And I get a fraction. That's okay. But these are my two answers. I hope you found this video helpful. You have work on Delta Math to complete. And if you have any questions, please reach out. And I look forward to seeing you live on Thursday.